16 is complete. We are on to the round of 12. We had a great race at Bristol last week. You might call it great. And we're looking forward to Texas this weekend. I'm Dan. This is my son, Nick. I'm at home. He's away at college. This is how we enjoy the NASCAR season together. How you doing tonight, Nick?
Doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Doing good. We had the Bristol race, and let's see, 3 playoff races, 3 non-playoff drivers winning those 3 races. Christopher Buescher coming through and getting the win in Bristol. What'd you think about this?
I liked a Buescher win. I think it was a really good race, all over the place. Lots of really close moments, close calls.
Really, in this race, whose car didn't break?
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty wild. And even at one point, I thought Brad Kay was going to win the race.
I thought he was gonna win.
But let me ask you about this. The playoffs are the 16, well, it started out the 16 best drivers of the season. So why is it that the first 3 races of the playoffs are not one of them is won by any of those 16 drivers? What does this mean?
Exactly. And I mean, maybe you could expect like a Wallace win, but nobody was picking Buescher as their number one winner for this race, which that just shows how different this season has been with the new car. It's not Kyle Larson winning 10 races. It's anyone's game. If you're a good driver, you have a chance.
Should the playoffs be expanded to maybe the top 20 drivers, or should we just do away with this format? What do you think?
I don't know about expansion because when you got 20 drivers in the playoffs, that's usually going to be more than half the field. It's not as big a deal of, oh, look, these are like the elite guys racing for it.
Buescher, Bubba Wallace, and Eric Jones, they all probably would have been in the top 20. I'd
Yeah.
have to go back and look for sure. But imagine if they had been in the playoffs, and now we've got those 3 guys, and they're leading the standings going into the next round. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There have been 19 different winners this season, which I believe is a record. Are we going to go for 20 this week?
It's possible with how it's been going. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
We are kind of running out of guys that I would give a shot at winning. I know I said if you're a good driver, you have a shot, but we're starting to get really slim on who could actually win a race, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, Brad is there.
Oh,
Still doesn't have one in
Brad
the
will
win
take,
column.
yeah, he will take that win if it presents itself. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would not throw that out.
What about Ryan Blaney, who won the All-Star race? He's won at Texas this season.
I mean, it would make sense for him to be able to win or at least do very well here.
So last week, Nick, your winning pick was Harvick. He ran well, had a little bit of trouble on that last pit stop. He finished 10th, sadly eliminated.
Yep.
My winning pick was Reddick. He got caught up in a wreck, and he finished 25th, and that was enough to eliminate him. My goodness, Tyler Reddick eliminated. Your non-playoff sleeper pick was Brad Keselowski, and he was actually running up front, looking like he had the winning car for a little while there. Then he ends up finishing 13th.
Because he had such a good car. And like I said in the video last week, being consistent and just not having issues would get you up there. I think he had some sort of issue that dropped him back a little.
And my sleeper pick for last week was Allmendinger, and I got a ding ding on that. He finished 7th. Never was up front, but he was always there, and he ends up finishing 7th. Which drivers were good? Which drivers fared well and went on to advance into the next round of the playoffs? Christopher Bell was really good in this race. He finished 4th place. He earned more points from this race than any other playoff driver. Chase Elliott came through with the 2nd place finish. And so now with the playoffs reset going into the round of 12, Chase Elliott once again is our playoff leader.
So from first, we got Elliott, Logano, Chastain, Larson, Byron, Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Blaney, and then on the bubble, Briscoe, Bowman, Suarez, and Cindric.
So also at Bristol, you had William Byron finish third place. Never really challenging for the win, but he was safe throughout. Denny Hamlin had a good car. He finished ninth. You had Kyle Larson, solid throughout. He finished fifth. And then Chastain, Ross Chastain. Nick,
Yeah,
I think he was listening to you. He
I
played
believe.
it
Yeah,
safe,
just
and he was safe all race. He finished sixth.
it paid off. We had our doubts. I was confident that if he did what he was told by, I hope, his crew chief, stay consistent, stay out there, and it worked. And there he is, third in the playoffs right now.
The drivers that were good enough at Bristol. Chase Briscoe, he got some good stage points. He finished 14th in the race, and that was enough to vault him into the round of 12 easily. You had Daniel Suarez, who finished 19th, Austin Cindric, who finished 20th. For those two guys, it was not pretty, but it was good enough, and they were able to advance. We said Harvick, he was good, but he wasn't good enough. So his 10th place finish, he fell short. He was eliminated. Who was bad at Bristol? Ryan Blaney finishes over 100 laps down at the end of the race, but it's enough for him to advance.
Good. Yeah.
You had Alex Bowman, who was running pretty good. He was caught up in a wreck, but he had already clinched by that point. You had Joey Logano, never really challenged much at all in this race. Then he had broken steering at the end. Kyle Busch, Nick, Kyle Busch was good. And then 3 playoff races, 2 blown engines. What about this?
Terrible for him, but I, just like many of the fans in the stadium, stood up and cheered when Kyle Busch's car started going down. Yeah, I mean, he knew it was over. I don't know how his crew knew it, but I mean, he pulled off and went straight to the garage, and the cameraman follows him. But to me, it was
how'd
just
you
a
like him
beautiful
just
moment.
walk in the whole way with the camera with his helmet on? And the producers are like, "Don't take that camera off. This is good TV. Something might happen."
Yeah. No, it's just, of course, Kyle Busch, just terrible, absolutely terrible luck taking him out first round.
Tyler Reddick was never really challenging in this race. Then he got caught up in a wreck, and it was enough to eliminate him. You had Austin Dillon. Something on his car broke as well, and he was eliminated. So, Nick, what about Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick? What do you think the rest of this season is going to be like for those two guys?
That's the thing. Will Kyle Busch and Reddick will they just go for it? Because Kyle Busch has his spot secured, and I'm sure he's mad about how his playoff season went about. He goes all the way, makes it the first round, all good to go, and then just issue after issue. I feel like Kyle Busch has something to prove. Like, oh, I may be out, but look, I'm gonna win this race, and maybe even Reddick, because not many people would have thought Reddick would have gone this first round, and he had his issues, and that wasn't enough to make him in the playoffs. So I feel like both of those guys are still ones to watch.
Well, you have both guys who know that they're not going to be in the car that they're in next season. Of course, Kyle Busch knows he's finished with Joe Gibbs at the end of this season. And then Reddick knows that he's not going to be in the 8 car. And at least for now, he's still part of RCR for next season. But both those guys, you could just pack it in and say season over, or you could say, well, nothing to lose now, might as well go for the wins.
And I feel that's the case for both of those guys.
This weekend we are going to Texas, so we'll see which driver is good at the old Texas two-step, Nick. And one of my favorite lines from a movie: "Sorry, Mr. President, I don't dance." Anyway, if you get that one, just put a thing in the comments on it. We've been at Texas earlier this season. It was the All-Star race, and Ryan Blaney was the winner. This was Ryan Blaney's only win of the season in a non-points race.
Mm.
But also in the All-Star race, Hamlin was second, Cindric was third, Larson and Elliott and Chastain and Kyle Busch all had trouble early. If you remember, I think this was the race where Chastain ran up on the back of Kyle Busch and kind of just used his car as a ramp.
Probably, probably.
But if we go back to Texas from last season, Kyle Larson was the winner of the playoff race there. And Nick, do you know who won the spring race there? It was also Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson. Okay.
He swept Texas last year. Of course, that's in the different car. In the playoff race last year, Larson won the race. Byron was second. Christopher Bell was third. If you look at the next gen car on the 1.5 mile intermediate tracks this season, Denny Hamlin has the best data this season at these type of tracks. He did have some trouble at Las Vegas, but other than that, he has all top fives in these 1.5 mile intermediate races. And one of those was a win. That was at Charlotte. Also, drivers that have been good on the 1.5s this season, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman has been good on these tracks, and Christopher Bell. Who are the last four guys in the top 12 of the standings right now?
Briscoe, Bowman, Suarez, and Cindric.
So of those four guys, do you see any one of them having the most success for the start of this next round?
I'm going to give the edge to Cindric on this one, actually.
Okay. I think I tend to agree with you. I believe Cindric will probably have a good run this weekend. I would look for Bowman to be up there, maybe not win the race, but he seems to have a knack for being there at the end on these 1.5 mile tracks. So I think he'll probably do well. I'm hoping that we can just let the playoff guys run and nobody's car breaks, nobody gets caught up in a wreck that's not their fault. That'd be nice just to see, give everybody a level playing field and not letting bad luck be the determining factor.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially very first race of the round of 12. You don't want to just have some guy in 36 and he's already way down, like a guy that you like, especially.
Who's going to win at Texas?
I'm going to say that Christopher Bell wins at Texas.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good pick. I believe it is. I believe he's got a great chance. And I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin as the winner for Texas.
That's also a very fair pick to make.
So if we're kind of in agreement with each other that we've made good picks, let's pick one more guy and let's make it our top 3 for this week at Texas. Who do you think is going to be the next best guy?
I would like to nominate Cindric, but I'm willing to negotiate if you don't believe that.
Okay, I think Cindric will be good. Let's make a bold play. And we're going to say Cindric will be the next best guy. So if you were asking for our consensus top 3 going into Texas, it's going to be Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, and Austin Cindric. We'll see how that plays out.
I think that's a good top 3.
How about a non-playoff driver, Nick, that you think will be the best finisher at Texas?
Non-playoff driver, but freshly out of the playoffs.
Okay.
Tyler Reddick.
Okay. I do not think that we're going to have a 4th non-playoff driver win in this 4th race of the playoffs. However, my sleeper pick is going to be the guy who won it last week. I'm going to go with Chris Buescher. I believe he'll be very strong again this week, and he might be challenging at the end. We'll see. Well, we make our picks now. This is Friday night when we're recording. Practice and qualifying will be during the day on Saturday. And if you get a chance to watch practice and qualifying, you really can get an idea of who's going to be fast and who is going to struggle. I enjoy also just listening to the interviews that some of these guys have, and you can tell if they are very confident in their car and what their result might be for the weekend. All right, Nick, we'll enjoy watching the race in Texas on Sunday. The week after that, we're going to Talladega Super Speedway. You never know what can happen. And then the elimination race, oh my goodness, is at the Roval in Charlotte.
It's gonna be another weird round, I think. Not who we expect is gonna go on top, probably.
There will be surprises, we can be certain of that. Thank you everyone for watching, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.